this concept that people are living by, that it is difficult for honest people to live in this world, and that they have to tell lies. Yes, but Baba says that why do you tell lies? What happens if you tell the truth? So if you tell the truth, then somebody might be unhappy with you, or they might disagree with you, or they might, because people are so attached to their opinions. So, do you know that when we talk about attachment as a form of ego, then the biggest form of attachment is attachment to our ideas, so our opinions, our beliefs, and people are very attached to their opinions, their ideas, their beliefs. And when you tell them something that is opposite to their idea, their opinion, their belief, then their ego gets hurt. And when somebody's ego gets hurt, then there is always a reaction that comes from them. And Baba says, more often than not, we are very scared of the reaction. So we don't want the reaction. Why? Because we don't have that capacity to tolerate. Yes, otherwise, the thing is, if you tell the truth, then there'll be a reaction. And then what do you do with the reaction? You tolerate it. But what happens is, when you don't have the power to tolerate, and just like, when you tell something to somebody which is not in consonance with their beliefs, then they will tell you that you are wrong and they are right. And then you also don't want to accept that. Yes, you also don't like the idea that somebody tells you that you are wrong and you are such and such. And this is why, we also sometimes don't tell the full truth. And then sometimes we also shy away from telling the truth. And we also sometimes in the Brahmin family also, we would say that, you cannot be so direct and cannot say everything so directly. Now, what is the context of all this? So you see that, let me give you a very simple example. So there was this one lady who had come to the center, and she was a psychologist. And then I was telling her about the Gyan, about Man, Buddhi and Sanskar being a part of the soul. And then suddenly, so when she came, she told me that I have anxiety. And although I'm a psychologist, but I just wanted to explore. So she told me that, so when I started the course, I told her that the soul has 3 organs, Man, Buddhi and Sanskar. And then she said, what is your qualification, and with what authority can you say that, there is a soul, and then there is a Man, Buddhi, Sanskar, and what is the scientific proof, and you people are just spreading lies, and this is all your, imagination. So she spoke this kind of stuff, and then she kept asking me, what is your qualification that you're talking about these matters, and what is, so who gave you this authority? So then I said, I am telling you what God has told us, and I have experimented in my life and it has worked. And then, I don't know, she just calmed down, and I was very okay with that. So I was not disturbed by her, whatever, the reaction that had come, and I was okay. And I said that we are speaking God's knowledge, and we are also speaking from our own experience, which seems to, corroborate God's knowledge. So then she kept quiet, and then she listened to the knowledge. So, and then, when she was leaving, she told me, "Can I tell you something?" So I said, "Yes." So she said, "You know why I like the session? Not because I agree with anything, but because when I told you that you don't have any authority or something, at that time, I had this thought that I had come and told you that I have anxiety, and I had this thought that you would tell me immediately that I am the one who has anxiety, and you, I don't have anxiety, you have anxiety. So obviously, I know better than you." And this thought had come to me, but you didn't say that. And I found it really touching that you didn't use that against me. And I felt that, there is something that is very sweet and nice about you. So, why I'm sharing this example is because yesterday Baba told us something very nice. Baba said that it is very important that you speak the truth with authority. Never shy away from saying the truth, but also have love in your heart. And Baba says that, there should be a balance of love and authority. So never cross that line, where, so when somebody is not in consonance with you, somebody doesn't like what you're saying, or somebody is not on the same page, they may react in several ways. But what you have to do is you have to maintain the awareness that this is my soul brother, and this is a truth that my father has given me the duty to speak to this soul. So I'm speaking it, and the child is entitled to behave however they want, but it is okay. So don't block your love because of that backlash or behavior. And in order that you don't block that love, you need a lot of tolerance. Because mostly what happens is when you have lack of tolerance, either you will start using, either you will start speaking in a language which is not loveful, or you would start debating with the person with the with the intention to prove that you are right and they are wrong, so your ego will kick in or something or the other. But there is this thing about truth, that truth gets conveyed when you convey it with love. And if love is lost, then the ring of truth is lost. And although you may keep speaking the truth, it won't hit in the right place because the love is lost. And this is why we need a lot of tolerance, because and when we talk about truth and falsehood in the Murli, we are not talking about the truth about, whether this is morning or evening or night. We are talking about the truth that Baba tells us about the soul, about Baba, about drama. So Baba says that you have to tell the truth to everybody, and you shouldn't be afraid of telling the truth. Don't say that we can't say these things because these days people are very, so sometimes you think that these days people take offense very easily, so don't tell anything which is against their belief systems. But there is a difference between belief and truth, and that has to be conveyed, but with a lot of love, with a lot of humility. And there is another thing called yukti. So Baba also always says that when you speak the truth, speak it with yukti. So with tact. So just don't go and outright say something which damages the relationship in the first instance. So first build a bond, speak about things that you're on the same page with, and then slowly, gradually tell them the whole truth. But Baba says that, so what is the difference between deviousness and yukti? So sometimes, you are deviating from the truth, and sometimes you're using yukti. So what is the difference between the two? The difference between the two is that when you deviate from the truth, it is an act of fear. But when you are using yukti to convey the truth, that's an act of love. So you are not afraid of the reaction. You are just, you are just careful that the truth lands properly and it makes sense to the other one. So you are not, that's not an act of fear, but an act of love, that you want the truth to be spoken at a pace and in a manner that it goes down well with the other soul. So these are things about it. And Baba says sometimes, you have to bow down, or you have to tolerate, or, you have to accept defeat. Now, why does Baba say that you have to tolerate, bow down, accept defeat? Because you see that if somebody gets very ruffled up, you are telling them, maybe this truth that the soul is not nirlep. So the soul carries sanskar, which is against the knowledge that people have in the world. So people think that the soul doesn't carry anything, the soul lives pure. But you are saying that the soul carries sanskar with itself. Now the other person will just start shouting and this and that. So at that time, what do? You also shout at their voice, you also match their voice, and you also try to prove. No, at that time you have to give up. You have to say, okay, let's suppose you're right, we will discuss it some other time. And you have to allow that thing to cool down, because suddenly you're throwing this truth at that person and they are not ready for it. So it is hitting them hard. So you have to also tolerate their reaction. You have to always also just accept defeat at that time. Defeat not in the sense that you change your stance, but just don't argue, just stop arguing, just accept that it's okay for the soul to not understand right now. And don't keep feeding your ego by pushing it that you have to, because I'm right, you have to accept it. So sometimes we take it to that level where I am right, and you have to accept it. So Baba says that's not the method. Now you see that when we live in a household, the truth is that purity is the original quality of the soul, right? So earlier you were having a completely vicious life, yes, full of lust and anger and ego and everything. And suddenly, you realize the truth and then you accept it. And then there are other souls who don't know the truth. And then you're telling them this is the truth and this is it from now, and you have to accept it. And you don't want any reaction from them. But Baba says you cannot just stop them from having a reaction. You have to tolerate all the reaction that comes. And you have to also have a lot of humility, and just not the humility that you have to start doing, you have to start matching their impure actions in order to tell them that I'm with you. No, not that kind of humility, but just humility that you're allowed to behave the way you want. So that's a very big act of humility. So you have to, when you are upholding the truth and the other people around you, they are having a reaction to it, then you have to give them full permission with your heart to behave the way they want. Yes, to speak the way they want, to, to maybe insult you the way they want. And that is called bowing down or accepting defeat. And don't allow your ego to raise your head at that time. So, sometimes I remember there was this one Mata, she told me that I am in Gyan and I go to the center every day, and I I'm pure, I have purified my food, I cook on my own, I accept food, and then my mother and my brother all day from the morning till the end of the night, they keep telling me, you're mad, you never made any good decisions in life, and now you have fallen into this new trap, and you are anyways a fool, and we have always felt very insecure because of your decisions, and this and that, and they keep saying this, and I also get very irritated. And when I get irritated, they tell me, see, she is going to Om Shanti, and what is she doing? No, no Shanti and Om Shanti. So they will only keep saying this, and this irks me a lot. And what right do they have to challenge me or, insult me? But the thing is, Baba says that if you tell people that I'm going to a place where I'm learning how to go back to a peaceful world and to a happy world, and then you don't have the power to tolerate, and your state of peace and happiness shifts in a second, then you cannot even next time say that, I'm learning to be peaceful or learning to be happy. So Baba says in these situations, you have to just use a lot of power of tolerance, because the truth is, you will only be said that you are upholding the truth when what you say and what you do matches. Yes, so you're saying something and doing something else, then how will the truth get conveyed? And in order that you do the same thing as you say, despite their behavior, you have to have a lot of power to tolerate. So Baba says that this is how, and Brahma Baba, you see, Brahma Baba was a very reputed person in the society. And when Shiv Baba entered Brahma Baba, and Brahma Baba also started speaking about purity and, have upholding purity in life, which is the truth, then everybody started behaving in a manner that they don't respect Baba. Yes, and they started, those people who used to bow down, they started insulting, and they started, shouting slogans against Baba, and there was so much of picketing being done. But Baba just stuck to the thing that this is the truth, and Baba never gave any reaction. And why Baba didn't give, and you see, you need a lot of bowing down, because you are a person of stature, and then what you're saying is God's truth. It's not like you're saying it from your own mind. But can you fight, and can you just be vehement and convince somebody? That's not how somebody gets convinced. Everybody gets convinced at their own time. So until then, what do? Until then, you have to use the power to tolerate. You have to bow down, accept defeat. But Baba says all this is not really accepting defeat. This is something you're doing on Baba's Srimat, and this is why this is the path to victory for you. Okay, so this is something. So how many of you really uphold the truth? Because you see that there is this one Mata, and she said that I have been in Gyan for 18 years. She goes to some center in some part of the country, and she said, I've been in Gyan for 18 years, and I don't observe purity. I don't follow celibacy. So I said, but why? You love Baba. From the way you speak, I can figure out that you love Baba, and you have a good aim, that you want to have a good place in Satyug. Then why don't you do that? So she said that my husband is a doctor, and if I tell him that, I have to observe purity for this reason or that reason, he just takes out his machines and checks and says, no, you're fine physically, no health issue, no this or no that. So I cannot convince him that, there is a reason why I need to be celibate. So I said, but why don't you tell him the true reason? Why don't you tell him that I want to observe purity because I want to go to a pure world? So she said, no, he will, I cannot say that because he will push me out of the house. So I said, if he pushes you out of the house, then what? Then also, and if somebody is pushing you out of the house because you are not going into lust, that means the only service you are providing in that house is lust. If somebody is going to just push you out of the house, if you are not going into lust, then that means is your only relationship with that person is that of lust. And is that a good idea? So I said, do you know, if two people are just connected by lust, what is it called? It is not called a marriage. It's it's called something else. So why do you think that that's your place in his life? And why can't you say it? And even if there is a reaction, so what? That reaction may stay for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and that person may not talk to you, he may treat you badly, he may not give you money, but okay. And even if he pushes you out, then you know that that relationship was anyways, it was not a dignified relationship, so good you moved out. But the thing is, we don't have that kind of power to tolerate. And it is because of our own lack of power to tolerate that we don't speak the truth. And let me tell you another thing. If you keep saying, for the last 18 years, if you have always told everybody in the center, whatever center you go to, or you are calling somebody and saying that my husband is the reason, my husband is the reason, just tell me, what message are you giving? You are giving the message that your husband doesn't deserve any good wishes. So, if you keep saying that I cannot follow Baba's Srimad because of this one person, so, some people keep blaming their children, some people keep blaming their husbands or their wives. So, what kind of vibration are you giving to them? And what kind of blessings are you making them earn? So, it's the complete opposite. And then just think about somebody you are telling. So, you see, everybody goes to the temple and says, God have mercy on my children, my spouse. But if you are every day telling God that my husband and my children are the reason why I cannot belong to you, then is that making them earn good wishes? Yes. So why are you living with a person who you are not even able to give good wishes to? So the thing is, this is also an act of ego. We don't understand that it is my lack of tolerance, my lack of power to tolerate, or my lack of power to accept defeat, and my lack of power to have humility and just, do my thing while the other person is allowed to do their thing. And I keep blaming and I keep, inviting Baba's wishes also on that person. So Baba says, all these are just excuses. If I understand that the truth is that purity and peace are like the breath of the soul, And just like, breathing is so important for life, if you need to have any spiritual energy, purity and peace is a must. So Baba says that in order to uphold that and speak the truth about your purpose, that you have to go to the land of purity, or the giving the introduction of Baba, who is asking you to uphold purity, whatever challenges come, you must raise your power to tolerate and deal with those challenges. But never say that it's not possible and it's very difficult to uphold the truth. These are all lame excuses. So it's just an excuse for your lack of power of tolerance. So this is it. And then there is another, so Baba today says that Baba gives an exercise that in 1 second, just write whose remembrance are you in. So just in 1 second, answer whose remembrance are you in. And have you seen that there are these psychological tests where you are immediately asked something and the answer that comes immediately is the true one. So Baba says, just I give you 1 second and tell me whose remembrance are you in. And then every child writes the answer, and mostly children write Baba. But when Baba's answer is looked at, so Brahma Baba also answers it, and when Brahma Baba's answer is checked, Brahma Baba has written a different answer. And what is the answer? I am in remembrance of Baba and the inheritance. So Baba says, you just don't have to remember Baba, but Baba plus the inheritance. So Baba says, remember Baba and remember the fruit that Baba is giving you. Remember the inheritance that Baba is giving you. So Baba says that I am here and I am the one teaching you to how to go to a pure world. So when you remember me, you also remember the fruit that I am giving you. And Baba says that the world of silence in which Baba resides is called the Tower of Peace. So it is the highest experience of peace. And Satyug, the world that Baba is creating for us, is the tower of happiness. And Baba says, you want to experience happiness, you want to be peaceful. The method is you connect your Buddhi Yoga to the tower of peace and to the tower of happiness. Yes, people say, I want to be happy. But you ask them, who are you remembering? So all those people and things and events that gave me pain. So why are you remembering that which gave you pain if you want to be happy, right? If you keep remembering your failures and whatever past events or whatever behaviors gave you pain, then obviously what you will invoke is pain. So Baba says, if you want to be happy, just remember the world of happiness and just remember your home, sweet home, with the ocean of happiness, Baba. And this is the easiest method. And Baba says that, there are two things. One is the law that happiness is a product of good karma. And Baba says that when we talk about karma, we don't understand that there is a constant karma that we create through our remembrance. So when you are remembering something, that's karma. Yes, you are remembering something, that's karma. And when you are remembering that which gave you sorrow, or you are remembering that which made you feel miserable, then that karma is making you feel miserable. And if you want to feel happy, then you do this first good karma of remembering Baba, the ocean of happiness, and remembering the world of happiness. And then Baba says another good karma is donating the imperishable jewels of knowledge. So another good karma is giving imperishable gifts to others. So you give somebody food, they get hungry again, right? You give them clothes, they get naked again. But you give them the knowledge, that knowledge gives them imperishable fruit. Always, whenever they use that knowledge, they get peace, love, joy. And do you know that the only donation that makes somebody independent is the donation of imperishable knowledge? And all other donations make everybody dependent. And if you are creating more dependent souls through donation, then that's not a good idea, because instead of spreading happiness, you are spreading sorrow, because dependence and happiness don't go together. Yes, and this is why when you feed somebody, when you just give them food without work, what happens is they expect food next time from you. And when you don't give them food, they don't give you blessings. They curse you, because they say, last time you gave me food and this time why are you not available? And how many can you feed every day? And for how long? So that's not possible. So this is why Baba says, give the donation of imperishable knowledge, which is the donation that makes them independent, which is the donation that fills them. All other donations that you give, material donations, they empty them. Why? Because those donations they consume and then they get empty again, and then they start getting dependent, and any dependent soul can never be happy. Yes, so one who doesn't realize their power, their spiritual power, their physical power, cannot be happy. I remember there was this one girl, she was 14 years of age, and she came to the center and she said that, I feel that I can't study, I can't concentrate. And then I gave her the course and taught her about spiritual powers, that you are a soul, you have a mind, you have a buddhi. And she told me that nobody told me that I can do better than this. Everybody said that you must do better than this. But nobody told me what is the power in me. And when I came to Baba, I realized that this is my mind, my buddhi. Why can't I concentrate? So, knowledge makes you realize your power. Knowledge makes you realize that it is your body. You want to operate it, you can do it with soul power. It is your man and buddhi. You can create the thoughts and destiny that you want. And this is why Baba says, you have to give the donation of this imperishable knowledge through which everybody realizes how powerful they are. And when they realize their power, they grow independent. And this is called good karma. And Baba says, happiness is the product of good karma. So first thing is, you do the good karma of remembering Baba, remembering your sweet home, remembering your kingdom. And the law says, the quality of the one you remember gets absorbed into your quality. So when you remember the tower of peace, tower of happiness, peace and happiness becomes your quality. And when you remember Baba, Baba is the tower of everything. Love, purity, peace, joy, power. So Baba says, I am the tower of everything. So the moment you remember me, you start absorbing that. This is first good karma. Second good karma, donation of imperishable knowledge. Okay, Om Shanti.